What is going on, Rough family? Welcome back to the Burn Fat Better podcast, where around here we earn our cookie, because cookies are so much better when you earn them versus when you just eat them all the time. I am your host, your boy, Roy, and today I'm putting myself in a situation to hopefully give you guys insight to what the process looks like to burning fat and building your happiest, healthiest life. And that situation I'm putting myself in is, what would I do if I weighed 100 pounds overweight? So if I woke up tomorrow and I found myself in this situation, 100 pounds heavier, wanting to lose that weight, I was obese on a BMI scale and body fat percentage as well. What would be my first steps? What would I do? How would I focus on losing that weight, doing it the right way, and making sure it was sustainable? And I feel like, people in different stages might have different levels of intensity when it comes to certain stuff, right? Somebody who has 10 pounds to lose is going to look different than somebody who has 100 pounds to lose. And so today I want to kind of just go through, I feel like this is a great starting place for people who do have a lot of weight to lose, and in maybe future episodes we'll go through like different scenarios as I get closer to my goal weight and how I would change things up, or at least progress the process to continue to move forward and break through plateaus. So if I had 100 pounds to lose, I'm trying to paint a picture in this situation. Now, I will first and foremost say that I've never really been overweight. So a lot of people might wonder, if I've never been in that, how would I know? I've been doing this coaching my whole life. I have coached quite a few people, helping them lose 100 pounds before. I know what the process looks like. And being honest, through this journey, especially when I first started coaching, there was a lot of times that I gave people things to do that didn't work. And, I had to learn, how to put myself in their shoes. Whenever I'm coaching somebody, I try to put myself in their shoes to say, okay, well, what's realistic? How is this going to fit their life? How is this going to be sustainable long term? And that's something that I didn't really understand when I first started, because I'd never been in a lot of these situations. I never really struggled with my weight before. And most of the clients who come to me, obviously, with the name of this podcast, a lot of people want to lose weight. They want to burn fat. And so understanding the situation of how could somebody get into the situation, helps me reverse engineer what would be those first steps. So being 100 pounds overweight doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, if I've been in this situation, it's because I've stopped working out. I've stopped caring about my nutrition protocol. I've stopped, I've probably gotten to a point where I've just been enjoying my life and not making any sacrifices to move myself forward or be my healthiest self, and it's gotten out of hand, right? I'd probably have a pretty bad relationship with food, where I feel like maybe I have an eating disorder, or maybe I feel like when I do start eating, I can't stop eating, or maybe it's alcohol, or maybe it's the sugar, or just eating in general. I mean, for me to be 100 pounds overweight, I'd have to be overeating to some extent at some point in time to get into this situation. And then along with that, not exercising, I'd assume that I probably have other medical conditions, maybe like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or pre-diabetic. I'd assume that I have joint pain as well, carrying the extra weight, and then probably have low energy and I'm tired all the time. And so a lot of things going against me as far as just starting this process, lack of motivation. I've been personally in these situations where I'm just not comfortable in my own skin. So starting this journey, having to go to a gym and put myself in these situations that I'm not comfortable in, it is hard. It's difficult, something that I don't want to do. So, my first step in all of this, right, is truly getting into a place where mentally I'm ready for the journey ahead. I'm going to have to make changes. I'm going to have to make sacrifices. I'm going to have to do things that make me uncomfortable. And that's a hard thing. This isn't the quote goes, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And so, for a lot of people, I feel like that first step is usually the hardest, is just getting into that mindset of like, okay, I'm going to do this. And usually it's either an internal, or it has to be either an internal or external motivator that happens. Either something happens externally, right? Like I go to the doctors and they say, look, get your life in check, or, you're not going to have much longer to live. Or, I go out with friends or family members, or somebody comments on my weight and it makes me feel insecure. Or maybe an internal motivator where like I'm walking up the stairs and I'm out of breath and I'm just like, I'm tired of this, right? I'm tired of being tired. Or I look at myself in the mirror and I just don't like what's looking back, and something has to just click. And it could be the simplest thing, right? Something's got to make me motivated to move, to just say it's time for change, right? Because somebody else can't want this for me more than I want it for myself. And so, trying to get myself in the right mindset is going to be extremely, extremely important, because without the right mindset of me actually wanting to change and do things that I haven't been doing for probably years, then nothing else is going to change. So with that being said, I'd get my mindset right, or hopefully I'd be in a situation where I hit rock bottom and I said enough is enough and I'm ready to take action. And my biggest approach with being 100 pounds overweight, and not that this would change for anybody else just looking to lose weight in general, but I feel like even more important is that I'm aiming for small changes, small habits, because with the amount of weight that I have to lose, literally the smallest changes are going to make huge impacts, right? And this is a little different than somebody who maybe only has 5 pounds to lose or 10 pounds to lose, or somebody who's already in pretty good shape and just trying to tone up. This is different because legitimately I could just change one thing and weight should start coming off, right? And so the first thing that I'm going to say is that I want to start building the habits when it comes to my workouts, because simply again, small things, if I just start moving more on a regular, if I didn't change anything else, then ideally some of this weight is going to start to move, is going to start to come off more than anything, right? So with my small change, my small habit with workouts, I'd probably just start with a mix of 15 minutes a day of some form of cardio. Something easy, just getting my body moving, low impact, steady state, right? No running, no high intensity, no box jumps, no CrossFit, nothing like that. I would probably start with like walking, doing a stationary bike if I had access to those, or rowing, and mixing those things. When I first was thinking about this, I said, I would just walk every single day. But again, being 100 pounds overweight, walking every day, my knees might start to hurt, my ankles, my feet, my back, right? Like that might be too much impact to start doing every single day, because I'd assume that I'm living a pretty sedentary life where I'm sitting down and laying down the majority of the time, right? So walking and then mixing that, the stationary bike and especially the rower, very, very, very low impact. And I would just hit that for 15 minutes a day, right? And slowly increase the distance I was doing on a regular basis, right? So if I was walking in 15 minutes, a half a mile, then I'd try to do 3/4 of a mile. I'd work up to being able to do a mile, right? And I just increase that over time. And I feel like that's just a small habit that I would start with. Like literally we're just talking about like first steps, right? Obviously there's gonna be more to it as we build and as we want to progress. I'm a big believer in resistance training, which I'm fine with. But again, I'm not trying to like lose all this weight at once. We got 100 pounds to lose here. This is going to be a journey. This isn't going to happen overnight. And I feel like just starting with that cardio and getting my body used to saying, okay, we're going to start moving. And me, again, the mindset being so important of I'm going to move every single day, no excuses, right? Because for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I've been making excuses as to why I can't move. And instead of trying to go to the gym for an hour, do this resistance training, do that, like, can I just work out 15 minutes a day? Can I make that happen? Can I be consistent? And the cool thing about that is that I can always change what I do in that 15 minutes. If I wanted to do if I want to do the stair stepper, if I want to do elliptical, if I wanted to start lifting weights, if I want to do, start lifting dumbbells or barbells, right? I could start changing what I do in that 15 minutes, but the habit comes first, because this is a big change for me already. Although I'm talking about small changes, for somebody who doesn't work out, adding in 15 minutes a day of activity is a whole new habit that we're putting in here, right? And consistency with that is going to be hard because you're going to get tired. There's going to be days you're unmotivated. And instead of me having to feel like I'm pulling myself out of the bed to have to go to a gym and work out for an hour at a place that I'm not comfortable in, like just going outside for a 15-minute walk is just so much more obtainable in the long run, right? So that's what I'm starting out with as far as my workouts. The second thing is going to be nutrition. And, I feel like we'll make some strides with the workouts. Nutrition is going to make the biggest impact by far. So this is going to be key. There's two folds here. If I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'd want to track what I eat, just plain and simple for consistency, to have an idea of where I'm at right now as far as my food goes. And with tracking my food, more than anything, I'm really just going to worry about the protein, even more so than the calories in the beginning. Meaning I feel like I'm not going to change anything about my diet. I feel like a lot of people, when they want to lose weight, they start cutting stuff out and they start being extremely restrictive, especially when it comes to carbs and sugars. And that's just not the route that I would take, right? I don't want to feel like I can't have something, especially with the fact that I probably don't have the best relationship with food. And for me to just say, I'm not allowed to have sweets, or I'm not allowed to have candy, or I'm not allowed to have carbs or potato chips or pizza or anything of these things that I'm probably eating, or soda, I would just be miserable, right? So the first thing I would do is just prioritize my protein, right? If I had 100 pounds to lose, I'd probably have like an ultimate goal of 200 grams of protein to eat in a day, which is a large feat, because I can promise you I'm probably not doing that. And then I'll kind of give you another situation if I am doing that, if I'm drastically overeating. But right now I would assume that I'm probably overeating in calories as a whole, primarily carbs and fats. Those are the things that taste the best. Those are going to be your candies, your potato chips, your ice cream, even if we were eating quote unquote healthy, your avocados, your salads, your fruits, those kinds of things, full of carbs, fats, those kinds of things. So what I would prioritize is the protein. And the reason why I'd prioritize this is because it's going to help my hormones function as well, but more importantly, help increase my metabolism. That's going to be a huge factor here, especially with me moving more and the recovery in that aspect. So I would focus on trying to just improve my protein on a regular basis and eventually build up to eating 200 grams of protein a day. And I would always prioritize when it's time, whenever I'm hungry, whenever I want to snack, whenever I want to eat, I would just prioritize eating protein first, at least 20 to 25 grams of protein per sitting of when I eat. Meaning, if I really want to have a piece of cake, it's late at night and I want a midnight snack or something like that, I have to go eat some form of 25 grams of protein, whether that's a protein bar, whether that's a protein shake, whether that's grilled chicken, it's salmon, it is steak, it is fish, it is eggs. Doesn't matter. It has to be at least 20 to 25 grams of protein, if not more. And then once I finish that, if I want the cake, I can have it. Okay? Same thing goes for in the middle of the day. If somebody brings donuts to work, I can have the donuts, but I have to have the protein first. And what's going to happen is that protein is very satiating. It's very filling, right? And along with that, usually you're not going to crave protein, right? Whenever I have my sweet tooth, I want to eat something, I'm never like, oh my God, I just want grilled chicken breast. It never works that way. I'm always craving the sugary, carby foods, right? And so what's going to happen is one, it's going to force me to not just hurry up and grab a bunch of donuts and eat the donuts, or grab a bunch of candy and eat the candy, or a bunch of potato chips. It's going to force me to sit down and have to prepare my food, make a shake, make some chicken, eat these things, right? And when I do that, it's going to fill me up, right? It's very satiating. It's very filling, right? To finish that 25 grams of protein, a lot of times I'm probably going to finish that and then not even be hungry enough to even eat the donuts, the cake, or whatever it is, right? And if I am, instead of it being 3, 4, 5 donuts that I eat, it might only be 2 donuts. Right? So now I still get to enjoy the donuts, but I'm not overdoing it because now I'm full because I had the protein first, and the protein's actually going to help me move in the right direction, right? So with that being said, that's going to be my biggest focus, is eating protein, always eating protein first and aiming for this 200 grams of protein a day. And ideally what will happen is I eat more protein and I'll end up eating less carbs and less sugar. So I don't really have to worry about eating less in the beginning, but more so just changing what I'm eating. And that's going to get my body moving in the right direction. And I should start to see some weight change and putting my body in the right situation for my hormones, my metabolism, my thyroid. So I actually start burning fat. Right. And then from there, we could talk about, eating less and what that looks like. But, just getting started, again, I don't want to be restrictive. I don't want to cut calories. I don't want to cut carbs. I don't want to cut these things that I'm not allowed to have. Now, on the flip side, if you are in this situation and you start tracking your food and you are drastically overeating, like you're eating 260 grams of protein a day and you're eating, 400 grams of carbs and you're eating 100 grams of fat and you were just like overeating in everything, if we're in that scenario, and that's what I realize, probably what I would do is cut back the protein to 200 grams. So I'd still cut that number back a little bit. And that would be a situation where I would track my calories and I would probably start to drop them back a little bit. So I would find some consistency in my calories, figure out, okay, what's my average on a weekly basis of how many calories I eat and break that down per day. And then I would probably just cut back the calories 200. So if you're already eating over 200 grams of protein, if you're already drastically overeating in that category, then I would focus on calories and just say, okay, and I'm actually going to take back what I said about cutting my 260 grams of protein back to 200. Can I be consistent with the protein I'm eating and just cut back my calories 200 calories? So if I stay consistent with my protein, let's say I'm on average eating 260 grams of protein, which is a lot, then all I would do is say, okay, if I normally am eating, 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, let's just say 4,000 calories a day, then all I would do is just cut it back to 3,800. If I kept my protein the same and cut back my calories 200, then ideally that just means I have to eat less carbs or less protein on a regular basis. And that would be the consistency that I'm looking for there. So I gave you two scenarios. One, if you're not eating enough protein, then stay consistent with your calories. Don't change your calories and just eat more protein. If you're overeating protein not just for one day, on a consistent basis, weekdays and weekends, if you're consistently eating 210, 220, 250, 280 grams of protein, if you're overeating 200 grams of protein, then I would just look at those calories and cut back the calories 200 and keep the protein the same and consistent, right? And again, that's going to be my focus. Primarily just focusing on, am I hitting the protein? Because that's going to be the biggest thing before I start cutting calories and being restrictive and looking at carbs and fats and all those other things. With that, staying on the nutrition thing, I'd probably just try to make a switch because I'd assume that I'm drinking soda and I love to drink soda. It's a normal thing for me. I'd probably just cut back to diet soda. So that way I can still drink as much soda as I want. I'm just going to start doing diet. It's an easy switch there, and a lot less calories naturally that I'd be drinking from soda. And then I drink more water, right? See if I can fit that in. That's obviously going to help me a lot in this journey. There's a cascade of positive events when it comes to those things. Sweet. So that's going to be nutrition. Eating more protein. Eat protein first. Prioritize the protein. Switching soda to diet soda if I am a soda drinker. I'd assume I am. I'm not much of a soda drinker right now, but I would assume if I was 100 pounds overweight, I probably am. And then drinking more water, right? Number 4 on my list is accountability. So accountability is key, and I find that a lot of people don't take this very serious, and I am a big believer in that accountability is the single most important thing because you are who you surround yourself with. Right? I assume that my friends are probably overweight. Like, I know if I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'm not going to I'm trying to put myself in these shoes and the situation I'm in now, right? Like, my best friends are other fitness coaches. They work at this gym. We work out together. We track our food. We're doing all these things. I'm going to conferences, meeting other gym owners. I can promise you if I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'm probably not in that scenario. My best friends probably aren't fitness people. They're probably not halves. They're probably not taking their fitness very serious, right? My family as well, and my coworkers, right? Maybe maybe my family and friends aren't to the same extreme where they're 100 pounds overweight, but in that same scenario where, we probably all could lose weight together. So what's going to happen for me is to find a group of people that have similar goals and are willing to make the sacrifices necessary to actually burn the fat and lose the weight, right? Because listen, the truth is that everybody has a goal to burn fat, be healthier, be happier, right? It's the people that are actually going to do the things to improve their life and reach those goals are the people that I'm looking for. So maybe there are people in my family, my friend group, and where I go to work that are in that scenario. And that's cool because you already know them. You already have a relationship with them. That's where I would go first. Find one family member, one coworker, and one friend to do this with me. And the reason why that's important is for a couple reasons. 3 accountabilities. 3 to 5 is what I love. I think that's a good number. Anything more than that, it becomes an accountability blob. Anything less than that, you're risking the fact that you're not surrounding yourself with enough people. And if they end up falling off, then you have no accountability. So that's the first thing, is why I love the 3 to 5 number, is that odds are 50% or more of the people you find to be accountability buddies are probably going to drop off, fall off, not take it serious. So if I'm getting 3 people, even if 50% of them fell off or more, hopefully I'd still be left with at least one person still doing this thing with me. If I have 2 people, if more than 50% fall off, then I have no more accountability buddies. That's where 3 is really the magic number, 5 being even better. And when we talk about family, coworkers, friends, it's one person from each aspect of my life. One person who's at home with me, family member. One person who's going to work, which you spend the most amount of time at work doing this thing. And then one friend group, so person that you like to talk to on a regular basis. One person that you might be going out with to dinner or drinks as a friend and things like that. Different aspects of your life, so you're never going to one aspect of your life without having the accountability. Now, excuse me. Now, let's say you're in a situation where you're like, well, I work from home, so I don't ever see my coworkers and I don't really know them, okay? Nobody in my family is really going to take this serious, so I don't really have a family member. And, I maybe have one friend, but I don't know if they're really willing to do this with me, and you just don't have anybody, okay? I'd highly recommend making new friends. Genuinely talk to somebody, reach out to somebody, make a post on social media, tell people what your goals are and that you're really, struggling to lose the weight. Put yourself out there, put it in the universe, right? You have to confront this thing. I feel a lot of people it's not so much about their friends, family, and coworkers not willing to do this with them. It's more of, I'm not willing to put myself out there because I'm embarrassed and I don't want to talk about it. And I don't want to let people know that I struggle with this thing. And it's more of an insecurity in me, more so than it is them. And so that's why I'm not willing to ask, and I want to be more secretive about this. But me being secretive, me not wanting to tell people, me not wanting to put it out in the universe is a cop-out. It's a scapegoat because I'm scared of failure. I'm scared of, what if I tell all these people that I have this thing and then I end up quitting like I always do, right? Like, again, nothing changes if nothing changes, and accountability is extremely important. You are who you surround yourself with, so you can't take this lightly. That's why I said in the very beginning, you have to have the mindset of, I'm willing to do whatever it takes and I'm willing to make the changes, because walking 15 minutes a day or getting on the bike 15 minutes and simply just eating more protein isn't hard, right? But the truth is that that's never been hard. It would have been easy to start that 10 years ago. It would have been easy to start that 5 years ago. It would have been easy to start that last week. The truth is that it's taken you all the way to today to actually start doing these simple things, very small, simple changes. What's taken you so long? It's taken you so long is that you haven't been surrounding yourself with the right people. If everybody you hung out with just prioritized their protein and went on a 15-minute walk every day, and that's just what you guys just did every day, then you would already have all these habits already in place, because it's what you would do. It'd just be a part of your life, right? And so this is extremely, extremely important. Now, if you absolutely cannot find anybody, I think it's extremely important that you find maybe a group of people. Go to the gym. Find somebody who's maybe similar in the situation as for you and befriend somebody. You guys, some of the best friends that I've had throughout the years, I met them at the gym, right? But again, you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to talk to somebody. And if that gives you anxiety, or you don't have access to a gym and you're not willing to do those things, right? Maybe there's an online group that you can be a part of, right? A great example of this, not trying to plug RUF or anything. That's not what I want to do in this podcast. But we have a RUFamily Facebook group, absolutely free to join, free 6-week challenge, right? Plenty of people in this situation that are more than happy to encourage you, hold you accountable, the whole 9 yards, right? And even if for whatever reason you can't find a group, right? You're not connecting, you don't like the online stuff, the highest form of accountability is getting a coach. So I would get a coach. You guys, this would be a non-negotiable for me. Okay. I always tell people that if you could do this on your own, you would have done it already. And so for me to be in this situation where I'm 100 pounds overweight, it doesn't matter if I feel like I know what to do. It doesn't matter if I think I can do it on my own or not. Like, I've already proven to myself that something's missing and I can't do this. Because if I could do it, I wouldn't be 100 pounds overweight. And so for me to genuinely take this serious, obviously something's missing. Whether there's a piece of education where I keep trying diet programs or workout programs that don't really work or fit my lifestyle for me, and there's a lack of education that I need a coach and a professional to help me with, or 2, if it's just simply having my skin in the game, paying for a coach, and them being on my ass about what I need to do on a regular basis. period, right? And to be honest, for me, I feel like it would be the second thing, right? Because I feel like a lot of people say, oh, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. If I was 100 pounds overweight, that's obviously the case for me, is like, right? Because I'm putting myself in these shoes. I know I own a gym, right? Obviously, it's just a matter of like, I don't have my skin in the game. I'm not taking this serious. I don't have the accountability. And I would pay for a coach to just be on my ass and make sure that I'm doing the things, that I'm showing up for myself and not making excuses, because that's the reason I am in the situation I'm in, is that I've just been making excuses for myself. And so I feel like, reverse engineering this, the first thing I would do is probably find the accountability. First thing I would do is find the coach that I like, that I connect with, that would hold me accountable, that I like their philosophies and their programs. And then from there, start to implement these other things that hopefully my coach is giving me these things to do about, working out and moving more, and then just prioritizing my protein and maybe making those small changes with drinking more water and the swap with the soda. Okay. And that right there should be the initial framework to build the habit. Eating more protein is not hard. 15 minutes of getting on a stationary bike is not hard. Having a coach holding me accountable is not hard. And what's going to happen is I'm going to lose some weight doing that. I'm going to burn some fat doing that. I know for a fact that those small changes are going to have a big impact. And I might lose the first 5, the first 10, the first 15, the first even 20 to 25 pounds, which is going to be amazing just doing that. But at some point, I'm going to hit a plateau. And what I'm doing isn't enough anymore. And what I love about having the coach is that, again, this is going to be my new comfort zone. My new comfort zone is just walking. My new comfort zone is doing the stationary bike. I like my routine. The new comfort zone is just, diet soda instead of regular sodas, eating more protein. And at some point when I hit that plateau, it's going to be time for change again. And that, again, is going to be another step where it's hard for me. It's hard for me to change my routine. It's hard for me to go to the next step. I'm just like I would be when I'm first starting. I'd fear the unknown. I'd fear making those changes. And again, setting up for my success for the long term is that having the accountability buddies and the coaches are going to push me into that next phase. When I hit a plateau and it's time for the next phase, they're going to be the ones to say, hey, we got to keep this moving in the right direction, right? So I'm not just looking at how can I lose weight the fastest, but I'm trying to set up myself for success and building habits and a lifestyle that I can build off of to do this long term. Because the truth is that you're not going to lose 100 pounds in a month. You're not going to lose it in 2 months. You're not going to lose it in 3 months. And if I did do that, it's probably not the healthiest way to do it. That's literally in 3 months, it's 33 pounds a month. That's over a pound a day consistently every day. It's just not healthy and it's not sustainable. I'm a big believer in that. Obviously there's a process to this, and you should lose a certain amount of weight in a certain amount of time for most people, depending on the sacrifices you're making. But the faster you lose the weight, the less sustainable it is. Meaning the slower you lose the weight, the more likely it's a lifestyle and the more sustainable that lifestyle is. Now, I don't want it to take me, 50 years to lose 100 pounds. It's not the goal. That means I need to start making more sacrifices. But realistically, the question is how long would it take me to lose 100 pounds if I did everything the right way? And I would say I'd probably aim for a year, maybe even a little bit more than that. I feel like in the very beginning, the weight loss, just getting started might be a little slow the initial couple weeks. But in the first couple months, I'd probably have some drastic, like my body's really going to like what's happening. I'd probably lose the first 25 to 50 pounds fairly quickly in retrospect. I feel like it's going to be the last, 30 pounds that's really going to start to, you really having to make some changes, some lifestyle changes and things like that and sacrifices. But again, it's awesome that we build to. What helps me lose the first 20 pounds is not going to be the same thing that helps me lose the next 30 pounds, which is not going to be the same thing that helps me lose the last 50 pounds, right? Things changes as far as different phases of your life and different parts of your journey, and it's important to know that. So 100 pounds, I'd give myself a year. If I did a year, I'm going to do some quick math. Let me pull up a calculator. 100 pounds and divided by 12 would be 8 pounds a month. Divided by 4 in a week, that's 2 pounds a week. I'm just trying to make sure I'm doing my math right. I'm honestly probably going to give myself let me do this. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right information here. Divided by, I'd probably give myself 15 months. That's probably what I would do. 15 months would be 6 pounds a month divided by 4. That's still even a pound, 1.6 pounds a week. I just feel like in the beginning, with 100 pounds to lose, I would assume that in the beginning I'd probably be losing, 2, 3, 4 pounds a week because you have a lot of weight to lose. I'm just worried about once I break that 50-pound mark that I might not be losing weight at that same rate, which would make it a little bit more difficult. Usually losing a pound a week is normal or even fast progress because, again, losing a pound in a week I feel like isn't hard, but usually that doesn't happen every week. I just want to make sure I give you guys the right answer. And I'm just trying to think of setting myself up for success here if I was in this situation. Let me do this. Okay, I'm going to say that I'm going to give myself anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years to lose 100 pounds. And if it happens faster than that, great. But that would be putting me at losing 1 pound a week over the course of 2 years, give or take. Now, I feel like I could do that faster simply because, like I said in the beginning, with 100 pounds to lose, you'll probably realize that losing more than a pound is easy to do, even with these small changes that I talked about today. So giving myself a little bit of range. Again,